Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bring Me the Boa. Today it's another video about hognoses. Like I said in the last one, different species though. So I know they're in one cage. Normally I do not keep them in one tub like this. It's mainly because, well, my male reached breeding size and my female's been breeding size. So I'm really happy. I'm excruciatingly happy. Excruciating isn't the right word. I'm ecstatic, though. I am very, very happy. Alright, let's see. Let's pull him out. Is he going to be hiding in the wood chips again? Yeah, there he is. He's in the shavings. Hi. So, this is Todoroki. He is the... Whoa. Being a little bit of a spaz there. This is the one I got in Florida this summer. Honestly, I found out he was actually an import from Europe from the person I bought him from. So that makes me even more excited because that just increases the chance of something interesting popping out of this pairing because they're completely unrelated, which means there's just a higher amount of genetic variability. But he has these nice white stripes. They're very clean, as well as he has on his belly is completely like it looks like a dark like see-through plastic is the best way I can describe it. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but it's iridescent to an extent. And then he also has like these black and white shoulders on his stomach. So yeah, I'm excited about this pairing. But so this is the one I got in Florida. And I'm going to set him right back in the wood shavings. And time to get out the female. Her name is Momo. She is gargantuan compared to him, which, I mean, looking at his size, he is already bigger than almost all of my Western hognoses. So you're probably wondering, whoa, you got a snake bigger? And I'm here to tell you, yeah, I do. Well, for hognoses anyways. Ball pythons put all of them to shame, but they're ball pythons. They're constrictors. Now this is the female. As you can see, she's very, very rotund. She should be showing a little bit more iridescence. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, because I'm pretty sure she is going into shed here soon. But she has been such a delight. Got her from a friend up in Flagstaff. His name's David. Trying to remember, it's High Country Exotics. The guy who produced these produced her, and honestly, next time I get a tricolored hognose, I'm going to be getting from him. I'll put a link to his FaunaClassifieds page in the description below. But God, she's my favorite, one of my favorite snakes, because she's so relaxed. She's such a good eater. When any of my Westerns decide they don't want to eat something, she's more than happy to. And I'm very happy about that because, well, I'm breeding her. And so I'll do a side-by-side of these two just so you guys can see. Oh, hold on, Momo. These guys are also very spastic compared to the Westerns, so that's why I'm holding them side-by-side like this and a little bit differently than the Westerns. But so you can see, he is this one right here. He's the one with the bright white. She's the one with the more faded white and a lot more black pigment on her. So they're going to make something interesting no matter what. I'm just excited. But as you can see, she is like double the length or relative size that he is. So I'm excited. She actually is probably going to get a bin upgrade too here soon. But yeah, these two have been nothing shy of good eaters. They've eaten for me every single meal without fail. I could not have asked for a better pair of tricolors. David, as I mentioned before, High Country Exotics, he actually, I went up to get her from him, I think it was in September of 2019, and geez, he ended up actually giving me another tricolor, because for some personal reasons, he gave it to me, and I was really excited to take care of it, and I was super ecstatic to get the experience of having a picky eater, because I'm going to be breeding, and I need the experience to help myself be better at learning what to expect and how to fix problems. And sadly, I ended up getting them to eat, but I had to go catch tadpoles to turn them into toads because these guys, hognoses as a whole, are usually toad-eating species. So they eat toads in the wild. They're very selective at it. That's why their little nose is upturned. It's because their rostral scale is bent up like that to allow them to burrow through things and to burrow in and dig down to get toads. So with that baby tricolor, I was really hoping that we could turn him around, get him eating, but it just didn't happen. But some things are just not meant to be, and I did my best to not take it too hard because I knew that he was being picky, and that's why he ended up passing, sadly. But that does not stop me from enjoying this species, in all honesty, because these two have been amazing eaters. But they don't really have a whole lot of like traditional morphs out there yet. They are nowhere near as much as like western hognoses or ball pythons, leopard geckos, anything like that. A lot of people actually that I've talked to, the person I bought him from, didn't even know that they had other color phases. And he also didn't know that there were other species of tricolor hognose, because this is Lystrophis pulcher. So there are actually 3 or 4 different species of what are considered tricolor hognoses. I'm still working on figuring out what the difference is on all of them, because they are in taxonomy they are classed differently. So still figuring that out, but I'm just genuinely excited to work with these guys. Now you may be wondering, as I mentioned, I got him in Florida this summer, and he was a shrimp when I got him. He was this big. And some of those hognoses I've had for over a year now. You're probably wondering, well, how did he get so big in such a short amount of time? So tricolored hognoses, they mature in 14 months. Females in 14 months are ready to breed. I've heard some males being as ready as 11 months, but it kind of depends on how much they eat. And I'm going to stand by the 14th month mark, because that's what David does, and he's super successful at this. He's produced some of the best, highest quality tricolors I have seen, and I think he's the only breeder in Arizona. He's the only one that I know of. Everyone else has actually had them imported or bought them from someone on the East Coast and had them shipped here. So as far as I know, he and I might be some of the only people in Arizona working with these snakes. So that also, I'm really proud to have these snakes and have them be doing so well. Because I've had other people tell me that they bought them and tried to get into them, and theirs died right off the bat because they didn't know what to do with the feeding, or the humidity has been a huge problem for a lot of people. But that's what this is for. Their hide is full of moss, and coconut fiber has been the mixture that's worked the best for me. But I just spray it every 2 days, and it keeps the humidity pretty good, and they both like to go inside of it, and then when they are getting too humid, they can go into the aspen shavings. And it kind of helps wick moisture away, so they don't get too humid and end up getting skin infections or mouth rot, things like that. Honestly, this is... I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of impressed with myself. That sounds bad, but it's just because there aren't very many people working with these snakes, and there aren't a whole lot of places you can get information on them for breeding. The only thing I could find that was very knowledgeable and was credited and didn't look suspicious was an article in reptile magazines of some people who were breeding these guys back in 2009, 2008. And before then, they were kind of popular in the 90s, but they didn't take off because they wouldn't eat in captivity, which is a very hog-nosed thing to have happen. But, yeah, they mature in 14 months roughly. So he's gonna keep growing, but as far as like maturity goes, he's an adult. Western Hognoses, it's about a year and a half for males and 2 years for females. So, and it also comes purely down to weight as well if you're wanting to breed them, what you consider an adult. Because weight really matters more than the age in some cases. Hi. And honestly, these guys are just adorable. I love these two snakes to death. It's kind of interesting getting him across country during the road trip because we would bring him into hotels, and him and Cheerio, the ball python, he's on that side. So in videos you'll see me like point at things. The Western Hognoses are over there, so if I point like that, Western Hognoses, geckos are over here, Cheerio's right there, and then Hercules is right there. But hi. But these snakes are just awesome. They I'd recommend them for people who've had snakes before, but people just getting into the hobby, I'm not entirely sure if I'd recommend them wholeheartedly because I've had good experiences with them. I've had no issues, little to no issue, but I've heard of people that have invested like $1,500 into these guys and all of theirs died. So, at the moment, because of how I'd recommend them if they are an established eater. That is the best way to phrase it. But also, since we're nearing the end of the video here, I'm going to do a little hypothesis of mine on why I think these guys mature faster than Western Hognoses. And I think it might be because they're preyed upon more. Because these guys have noticed their only defensive behavior is to spaz about like a coral snake, because their color scheme is centered around what a coral snake looks like. But they also rattle their tail, but they don't have a rattle, so they really rely on what they're rattling on. So like in something like this, it's not going to be very loud. In this, it'll actually sound like kind of like a rattlesnake. So I think it's because they have no natural behavioral defenses that they just try to out-reproduce their predators eating them. Because they, not only do they sexually mature in 14 months, so a year and 2 months, they also lay a ton of eggs. It's about, on average, I've heard about 8 eggs a clutch is as an average size clutch. But I've heard some people getting up to, was it 16 eggs in a clutch? So, with an average egg count being 8, they can also produce up to 8 clutches in captivity. So I'd say in the wild, they'd probably produce 4 or 5. But still, 5 times 8, that's 40 snakes coming out of that. And that's in a single breeding season. So 40 babies roughly a season, well, they can produce a lot in their lifetime. And then those babies in a year and 2 months are able to reproduce. You see what I'm getting at? Their growth will be exponential. And their population, if you were to take 2 or 3 of these guys and put them in a giant vivarium and just let them be, you'd have a much higher population in 3 years than you would of Western Hognoses. You'd have 2 generations maximum of Western Hognoses compared to, let's see here, so there'd be at least 3 generations in those 3 years, but the number of snakes would also be much higher. Because Western Hognoses, I think I've heard of 3 clutches, but I'm thinking 2 is about average. 1 to 2 clutches of eggs per season is about average for them, I'm guessing. And they have about 8 as well, but that's about half of what these guys produce. But then these guys also become mature about half as long. So these guys are mature, they mature twice as fast and produce twice as much. But the trade-off to that is they live half as long. These guys only live about 8 years. So with these two guys, I only have about 7 years left with them, whereas my westerns, I have heard the maximum of around 20 years, but exceeding 25 could be a possibility. But yeah, I'm gonna end the video on that note. A little bit of theory on some evolutionary tactics. Not really sure what I'm gonna do for the next video. It's either gonna be hognose or ball python, but we'll see where my brain takes me. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is Bring Me the Boa. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and comment any video suggestions you'd like, as well as commenting more questions that you'd like for the Q&A series, because I've decided it was really fun, so I'm gonna just keep doing that as just a regular thing. I have enough questions to do about 3 more videos, but any questions are welcome, and I've decided it's not just going to be about reptiles, amphibians, and vertebrates. Those are the 3 main categories of animals that are on the table. So, yeah, just keep asking those questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. I hope you guys have a great day.